The latest Nintendo Direct may not have delivered major game announcements, but it did reveal some interesting developments in the gaming industry. One of the biggest surprises was the announcement that several PlayStation games are coming to the Nintendo Switch. This shift raises important questions about Sony's evolving strategy and its relationship with Nintendo. Two classic PlayStation games, Patapon 1 and 2 Replay and Everybody's Golf Hot Shots, are making their way to the Nintendo Switch. These titles were originally PlayStation exclusives developed by Sony's Japan studio, a team that played a key role in creating unique and beloved games for PlayStation platforms. However, what makes this release even more interesting is that Sony itself is not publishing these games on Switch. Instead, Bandai Namco is handling the publishing, signaling a different approach to how these older PlayStation titles are being revived. This isn't the first time PlayStation games have appeared on the Nintendo Switch. Titles like MLB The Show and the upcoming LEGO Horizon Adventures have already made their way to Nintendo's platform. However, there's a key difference. In the case of LEGO Horizon Adventures, Sony itself decided to bring the game to Switch and PC to expand the Horizon brand. This shows that Sony is becoming more open to reaching players beyond its own PlayStation ecosystem. Another example is Freedom Wars, a PlayStation Vita exclusive that is also being re-released on Switch. Just like Patapon and Everybody's Golf, Bandai Namco is publishing the game, not Sony. This pattern suggests that Bandai Namco is actively reviving some of Sony Japan Studios' older games, possibly filling the gap left after the studio was shut down. One of the biggest takeaways from these releases is that Sony may not view Nintendo as a direct competitor in the same way it does Xbox. Unlike Microsoft and Sony, which compete in the high-end console market, Nintendo operates in a different space with its hybrid console approach. By allowing older or niche PlayStation games to come to Switch, Sony isn't losing much but instead gaining a new audience and additional revenue. This strategy could continue with the Nintendo Switch 2. There are already speculations that games like Gravity Rush, another former PlayStation exclusive, could make their way to Nintendo's next console. While major Sony franchises like God of War and The Last of Us are unlikely to appear on Switch, smaller or older PlayStation IPs could find a new life on Nintendo's platform. Sony's leadership seems to be more open to expanding beyond PlayStation. In recent years, PlayStation has also been bringing more of its exclusive games to PC, such as Spider-Man, The Last of Us Part 1, and Ghost of Tsushima. This shows a shift in strategy similar to what Xbox has been doing, making their games available on more platforms rather than keeping them locked to a single console. If this trend continues, we might see more PlayStation IPs appearing on the Nintendo Switch 2. While blockbuster exclusives will likely remain on PlayStation, lesser-known titles and older games could be re-released on other platforms. This would allow Sony to maximize its game library without directly competing with its main PlayStation business. The arrival of PlayStation games on the Nintendo Switch is a sign of Sony's evolving approach to gaming. With Bandai Namco reviving classic titles and Sony itself bringing certain games to new platforms, the boundaries between console ecosystems are becoming less rigid. While it's unlikely that PlayStation will abandon exclusives entirely, this shift suggests a more flexible and business-driven strategy. The Nintendo Switch 2 could play a key role in this transformation. As Sony experiments with more cross-platform releases, we may see a growing number of PlayStation games making their way to Nintendo's consoles in the future. Whether this is just the beginning of a new partnership or a short-term business decision, one thing is clear: gaming is becoming more interconnected than ever before.